Hello and welcome back to Sawdog Woodworking. Today we're going to be building a miter saw station. Later in the video you'll see what I originally was working with, but I wanted to do a better upgrade. I had a lot of this lumber still kicking around, the plywood especially. I bought a little extra when I was building my kitchen cabinets. It came at a really good price, so I bought what I needed. I bought enough for mistakes or bad pieces or whatever, and then I bought a few extra pieces just because, like as I said, the price was just so good from my local lumber company. I think I can mention things like that on here. Hancock Lumber here in Maine. They at the time these were the sheets were $45 a piece. I couldn't say no to it because at the time a piece of lumber or a piece of 3/4 inch birch plywood I was seeing for closer to 95 a piece. So bought a little extra. It had been sitting around on the floor for far too long, got a little damaged, which you'll see later in the video as well, how I make that work into this project. Couldn't use it on my own stuff, a good finished piece. I didn't want to use it on any client work, but it worked really well for keeping the zero budget where I already had it. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to build cabinet carcasses. I'm going to show you how to build cabinet doors fast. We're going to do better videos later on where I really break it down step by step. I'm going to show you how we mount the saw itself, putting a edge band on the melamine here, how to set the T-track in place, and I believe also setting a drawer. This drawer doesn't match everything else, as you can see. I am going to paint everything. I've mentioned in prior videos, all the pieces that you see being built. I'm doing the upgrades to the shop. Then my wife's going to help me pick some colors and my daughter's going to help pick the colors. And I'm going to spend a weekend just painting everything so it all matches. But for now, a lot of the stuff that I've built is patchwork because we're building it out of so many different pieces. But, so back to the kitchen drawer. Yeah, this I think was my silverware drawer from my kitchen. It's holding pieces from the miter saw in here, so nice, easy, quick access. But yeah, that's where we're going to start today. I have a vacuum under here. Eventually, I'm going to upgrade this to fit a better dust collection system. But for now, I had an old shop vacuum. That is sufficing for now. Video after this one is going to be a dust collection upgrade that I put onto the saw. It's just an aftermarket thing. It works pretty good. It worked better than what came with the saw. And eventually I'll probably do even more dust collection. I didn't realize, I knew dust collection was going to be important with a woodworking shop, but my God, it makes so much dust. And it's par for the course, but as the projects start getting more frequent, I think I'm going to have to start figuring out where I'm going to start putting a lot of that waste product. That's a worry for another day. Today, let's get started on the miter saw table. This 12-drawer cabinet is the first video I posted if you want to see how that was built. This workbench hasn't been posted yet. I've been kind of going out of order as how I'm posting the videos versus what I've built. It'll get there though. I thought the miter saw station was going to be a little more interesting, so I decided to post that before the workbench. That cabinet on the top there, that's where my nail guns are held. If you saw the beginning video or the before video, you'll see that it has come a long way. It doesn't look like much now. That table right there is the old workbench. And you can kind of see the miter saw station that I have now in the background, along with other bits of crap. I've got to get rid of all that. The glorious garage door that I have that eventually I'm going to have to replace, but that's the best I could do to keep the cold out for now. That workbench right there is my daughter's. As I sit now, it's been taken apart, and it's actually a router table. And back to the apothecary my grandfather built. So like any project, I've got to break it down, and because I work alone, it's not always easy. I wish I had a track saw at this point. I have since bought a Craig track saw, and I actually do a video unboxing it and talking about it that will be posted soon. but just breaking down product with clamps and the T-track, not the T-track, but just the track that I have there, it took so long. Having used the track saw now, I love it. It just works so much better. Once I get everything broken down, I then run it through the table saw just to bring it down to its actual length and make it nice and square. And once I get that done, excuse me, once I get that done, then I'm also going to just make an adjustment to the table saw so I can run dados for the back panel to accept. It's kind of a bad angle. I'll get better at video. I don't have an assembly table put together yet, but I will. So right now I'm just using the outfeed table on my table saw. This little jig that I'm using, I built when I was making my kitchen cabinets. It's a 3/8 gauge, and I can put it right along the side of the cabinets and then just make a mark. This way I know that I'm 3/8 of an inch in, so which is half of 3/4. I'm using 3/4 ply, so all of these pocket holes that I'm drilling, not pocket holes, excuse me, pre-drilled holes that are countersunk, these will fit right in the middle of the 3/4 ply, and I won't have to worry about splitting or missing. And here we go, just cutting all those in or screwing all those in. Those little red clamps I'm using were a huge benefit when I was building my cabinets. They weren't too much, and because I work alone, it really makes it easy to have it. They're essentially a second set of hands, and I know things are square. Then I can screw everything in. I believe I'm using 1 5/8" screws to put this whole thing together. There'll be pocket screws as well. These little spanners at the top that I'm gluing. I don't have to do a full sheet of plywood up here. The top of the counter will cover all this. This just keeps the sides from flopping around, and it'll give the top something to screw into when I'm ready. Also, once I know everything is square, I'm checking square all the time just to make sure nothing has gone out. Usually, if you're making your cuts right, everything will square up anyway, but it never hurts to double check because once the glue has dried, it's a pain. You can crack and rip things out of place. So I just make sure everything's square. And once those are screwed in, these are the carcasses, which is what you call a cabinet box. And then I'm just going to cut the backs and glue everything in place. As you can see, those dados that I cut, it slides right in. Another square check, some staples, and it's done. Then I'm just going to do the same thing to the other two. So some of this plywood had been sitting on the floor and it got damaged, so I planned it so that the two damaged sides would be hidden together. Once again, a little clamping. You can never have too many clamps. I have no idea what I was showing you there. I think it was 1¼ screws. So this is the miter saw setup that I have right now. It's been great. I actually got that miter saw stand at one of the big box stores, years ago. When I bought the miter saw, they were giving it away for free if you bought spent over a certain price. So I think it was $200. I made these bases out of the drying racks that had been hanging up in the previous video, if you'd seen those. I do the bases because it just makes it easier to level everything. And this is the face frame, put it together. This is all going to be, I think I still had some poplar left over, although I see some knots in that, so that's got to be some pine. Pine's not ideal for building stuff like this. It's pretty flimsy. It dings up pretty easily, but as I said, this is for a shop, so it goes together. Hey, nice. Little whimsy. But anyway, glue, some clamps, make sure everything's looking nice. I get my nail gun out and just pop in some nails. These are really just there to hold it. Once the glue dries, it's going to be nice and tight. You can see it's still a patchwork. I built this out of a couple different pieces that I had lying around. These are going to be the cleats that are going to hold the miter saw table in place, or the shelf. And I believe that still looks like cabinet material, so the old kitchen's still giving. And having never built a miter saw station, I realized too late that the corners were going to be in the way. I liked where the miter saw was sitting. I could have moved it forward or back, but cutting these out of place was a little extra work, but not too bad. I had to add some spacers, filler pieces, excuse me, just to make it look right. The nice thing is, as I said, I'm painting all of this, so it won't show up once it's done. And this is my Japanese saw. Huge, not a huge investment, and it's a huge help. I bought, I think that's probably 1x6, 1x8. Buying individual 1.5 pieces for the cabinet door fronts was more expensive than buying one big one and just milling it down. So I'm cutting all my dados. This is going to accept the front panel. Again, this is all pine, some more pocket screws. This is all pine, not ideal for cabinet doors, and I wouldn't pocket hole screw cabinet doors if I was doing a good custom bit of cabinetry. But where this is the shop and I really wanted to get this done quick, I found pocket screws to just be the easiest way to go. And once you get the panel done, it goes right in. Normally I wouldn't glue a panel either if it wasn't plywood. Hardwoods will expand and contract and it will mess up your door, but plywood is pretty stable and it actually helps the door stay together. And where I was using pine, I'm going to take all the stability I can get. I think they'll work out okay though, but with season changes, I'll see how they go. This is going to be a shelf for the drawer. I didn't want to buy drawer slides. That was actually an old easel that I had pulled out of a school for my daughter. She used to paint on it, and you can see the drawer in place there. This is a porcelain drawer, knob that I pulled out of the apothecary. My grandfather squirreled that away, God, 50, 60 years ago, and I'm just using it now. Oh, these are the magnetic catches. Again, I didn't pay any money for these. I kept these from my kitchen. So once all the cabinet doors are in place in the drawer, I wanted to start getting the T-track laid out. And I want to set the T-track depth, so I'm getting that set right now. You can see I use some painter's tape. This helps with tear out. The top of the melamine is pretty secure, but it tears out real easy. Little cleanup with the chisel. And right now the T-track is just dry fit, meaning I haven't screwed it in place yet. I want to make sure everything's right before I get it in place. I didn't like the look of the front of the melamine, so this is edge banding. It's essentially, it's white, and it has glue on the back side of it. If you've never done this, I highly recommend it. It's great for the fronts of plywood as well. It's pre-glued, as I said, so just a nice hot iron. And I recommend using an iron you're not going to use for clothes again, because some of the glue can get on the iron if it bleeds out. But yeah, I just go around the edges. It takes just a few seconds for the glue to warm up. And once that's done, I let it cool. Go through with a razor knife, cut out the little slot for the T-track. They make a tool, a little edge band tool, where you just put it over the edge of the edge band and slide it along. It's got a razor on both sides and it will trim any overhang. I don't have one of those. They're not expensive, but a razor knife, as you can see, just dragged right along, does the job. So I get that all cleaned up. Once that's in place, I believe I just have to screw everything down and it's good to go. So I pre-drill all the holes. Melamine's not going to split as easily as a grained wood will. It's just pressed together wood particles, but I don't want any tear out, so pre-drilling never hurts. And once I'm pre-drilled and that's all in place, I'm just going to screw the cabinets to the bottom of those spacers that I put in, or the spanners. The drawers in, and that's that. So here it is, the completed project. Well, almost complete. As I said, it's still going to need a paint job. Pretty much all the projects that I've been working on, the upgrades to the shop, are complete. So I'm hoping my wife and daughter will give me a hand painting all of those in the coming weeks. But one thing I noticed when I was working on editing the video was that these doors just sort of magically appear in place. I didn't cover installing them. It wasn't too difficult. I just had basic hinges lying around, no soft close or any sort of fancy cabinet hinges like I would normally use. The apothecary keeps on giving. It is full of so much stuff. But anyway, basic hinges, just like this. I painted them black, and just to give them a little more aesthetic pleasing for myself, I took a chisel and notched out just the thickness of the hinge itself on both the door and the face frame itself, and that just keeps it from binding and makes a nice smooth close. So that was the last thing I wanted to cover. As you can see, the drawer works. It's just full of bits of miter saw stuff. Anything that I need for the saw itself, nice and close at hand. The rest is just going to be basic storage. As you can see in here, little pancake compressor. I did put some slots in there so that if I do want shelves, I can put pins in and add a shelf to it. I don't have anything to put in there right now, so we're good. A little backpack from my HVAC days. Anyway, I hope you learned something. This is a complete project. Like I said, it's just going to need some paint, and then it is done. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. It helps me a lot. And come back for the next one. I'll be posting them as fast as I can. Until then, have a great day. Thanks. No, thank you. Whoa, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Well, that's unsettling. Okay, it's finally happened. I've been working alone for too long, and now I'm talking to myself. I've gone crazy. Oh, you're not crazy. Oh, good. The voice in my head is letting me know that I'm sane. That makes me feel better. So what now? Well, I was going to wrap up the video. How are you going to do that? I'm going to get rid of you. What?